This is 6 p.m. on the day of my first eye surgery. They did my left eye this morning, as you can see, and everything went well. I checked in at 8 o'clock in the morning, a little before that actually, and they got me in about 8, and they did some eye measurements. There was some kind of discrepancy, and he didn't think that the measurements he was getting were correct, so he did it a way where he put a light with a water cup over my eye, and then he liked those measurements better, and so then right about 9 o'clock they got me and they took me back for the pre-surgery prep. So when they say your surgery is going to happen at 9 and it only takes 20 minutes, that doesn't mean you're leaving at 9:20. The surgical prep was right around an hour, and they hooked me up. They put probes on my chest, my leg. There was an oxygen sensor on my finger. They had oxygen tubes in my nose, and there was an IV in me. And so really it was like any other kind of surgery that you might do. And so they were very careful about everything. Finally, an anesthesiologist came in and explained to me that what he was going to do was put me to sleep for approximately 5 minutes. And he said that 5 minutes were so that I would be asleep while the doctor numbs up my eye, and well, I guess while he numbs up my eye, and then I would start waking up as they were working. And so I do. The next thing I remember was kind of coming around, and I realized they were all around me talking. And at first I couldn't really say anything as I was waking up, and then I realized, well, when I did feel like I could get some words out, I said, so what are you working on? And then he told me, oh, we're working on the part where we're getting the fluid out of your eyes to take care of the floaters. I can't remember what it's called. It starts with a V, and I've honestly not made any effort to pronounce it properly. But so they were replacing the lens in my eye for the cataracts, and then they were replacing the fluid in my eye, as I understand the procedure, for getting rid of the floaters in my eye. And while he was still working, it looked like they had something that covered both of my eyes. So even this eye had something over it, but I could see through it. And I remember the doctors were talking about real estate, and the prices in Seattle are so high. They were talking about, where's the doctor supposed to live? And so the house prices are even high for them. I chipped in on that a little bit into the conversation, and while they were still working on my eye, I mean, it felt great. I had no discomfort. My biggest discomfort the whole time was the IV being in me, because I don't like IVs. I don't like the feeling of how it pulls on your arm when you move your arm, but you know, let's face it, that's not a huge problem. So everything was great. It was over with. They wheeled me back into the other room. They offered me a few different, a granola bar, or I could choose some crackers and cheese, which is what I chose, and they brought me a coffee, and it was good coffee too. And so everything went really well. They told me that if it started hurting at all, to take Tylenol, but nothing else. And so I think a little while after I left, I felt like my eye was starting to get a little itchy, and I think it was just as all of the numbing was wearing off, and it did feel a little bit itchy. And I did take a Tylenol, 2 of them, because I didn't want it to get worse. I didn't want some serious pain to develop or something, so I really didn't give it a chance to see. But also, honestly, it could have just been some itchiness from my bandage. And right now is 6 o'clock, actually, right at the 6-hour mark from when I took the Tylenol, and it feels great. There's no problem. I had a little bit of a headache earlier on this side of my face, but I honestly think it was allergies, because I actually woke up with some sinuses this morning, and it kind of felt like that. So I don't think it had anything to do with the eye. As I was having lunch today, I realized more and more that I was starting to see with this eye, because I was facing a window and it was bright, and I was realizing that I could actually see the inside. So I know I'm not blind, I'm seeing something, and so it's just the inside of my bandage. One thing I wanted to mention was on some of the videos that I've seen people make about how cataract surgery goes, I noticed that they were wearing an eye guard that you could see through, but as you can see at the place I went to in Seattle, they had they just completely cover it up, and I'm not to remove this for any reason, for eye drops or anything. The eye doctor will remove it tomorrow morning during my follow-up appointment. I do want to come back around to how long it actually takes in the morning, because when they first describe it to you, they make it sound like it's 20 minutes and you're out and you're on your way. So, like I was saying earlier, I spent about it was right around 45 minutes in with them measuring my eyes and stuff. I don't think that's typical, because I don't think most people needed the second method of measurement like I did. They do. It was probably would have been 20 minutes without that. And then, of course, the whole pre-surgical thing was right around an hour, and I think in total it was about 3.5 hours. 4 if you count that I showed up a little early. It's kind of funny, because what I've had to do today is I see with this eye, but not very well. I can't see to drive, or I can't see to read with it. And so I've had to try to wear this if I want to really see clearly. I've had to try to wear it like this today, and so that's something to know might be coming, is if you have to wear eye correction like this. This sticks out so far that this feels like it's going to fall off all day long, and it doesn't exactly even stay on right. But for 24 hours you can make it work.